right now, yet you're still watching this ad like an absolute doofus? Incredible. Plus, if you opt in, Pi will actually pay you money to see ads. Crazy, right? Good luck finding another ad blocker out there that does that. But don't take my word for it. Trust the hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews. So what are you doing? Get Pi right now and say goodbye to ads forever.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up, we've got shape video masks. You can use different shapes to create completely different vibes and aesthetics. Or you can create your own graphic. I use the shape composition here. Just import any SVG file and set it as a shape mask. Nice. Next up, we'll keep it moving with the hover box. You can use it to animate any element and create these really eye-catching interactions. And what I love is that the level of control you get here is crazy precise. You can set your animation ease, scale size, and position to create this really dope effect. Third, we've got the mega menu. This not only lets you organize your site menu into different subcategories, but it also looks amazing when you add in different elements like text, buttons, images, and pretty much anything you can think of. And last but not least, we've got My Designs. This feature lets you save any section or component that you've already created, and you can use it as a starting point on any other pages or sites you're working on. This one's personally saved me a ton of time. So you got all these features. Now see what you can do with them. Get on over to Wix and create something dope.
All the great utterances of man have to be judged not by the letter but by the spirit which unfolds itself with the growth of life in history. We get to know the real meaning of Christianity by observing its living aspect at the present moment, however different that may be, even in important respects, from the Christianity of earlier periods. For Western scholars, the great religious scriptures of India seem to possess merely a retrospective and archaeological interest, but to us they are of living importance, and we cannot help thinking that they lose their significance when exhibited in labelled cases, mummied specimens of human thought and aspiration, preserved for all time in the wrappings of erudition. The meaning of the living words that come out of the experiences of great hearts can never be exhausted by any one system of logical interpretation. They have to be endlessly explained by the commentaries of individual lives, and they gain an added mystery in each new revelation. To me, the verses of the Upanishads and the teachings of Buddha have ever been things of the spirit, and therefore endowed with boundless vital growth, and I have used them both in my own life and in my preaching as being instinct with individual meaning for me, as for others, and awaiting for their confirmation my own special testimony, which must have its value because of its individuality. I should add perhaps that these papers embody in a connected form suited to this publication ideas which have been culled from several of the Bengali discourses which I am in the habit of giving to my students in my school at Bolpur in Bengal, and I have used here and there translations of passages from these done by my friends Babu Satish Chandra Roy and Babu Ajit Kumar Chakravarti. The last paper of this series, Realization in Action, has been translated from my Bengali discourse on Karma Yoga by my nephew Babu Surendranath Tagore. I take this opportunity of expressing my gratitude to Professor James H. Woods of Harvard University for his generous appreciation, which encouraged me to complete this series of papers and read most of them before the Harvard University. And I offer my thanks to Mr. Ernest Rees for his kindness in helping me with suggestions and revisions and in going through the proofs. The word may be added about the pronouncing of sadhana. The accent falls decisively on the first A, which has the broad sound. Chapter 1. The relation of the individual to the universe. The civilization of ancient Greece was nurtured within city walls. In fact, all the modern civilizations have their cradles of brick and mortar. These walls lead the different Aryan clans with their patriarchal heads settled in the different forest tracts, which had some special advantage of natural protection and food and water in plenty. Thus in India it was in the forests that our civilization had its birth, and it took a distinct character from this origin and environment. It was surrounded by the vast life of nature, was fed and clothed by it, and had the closest and most constant intercourse with her varying aspects. Such a life, we thought, tends to have the effect of dulling human intelligence and dwarfing the incentives to progress by lowering the standards of existence. But in ancient India we find that the circumstances of forest life did not overcome man's mind, and did not enfeeble the current of his energies, but only gave to it a particular direction. Having been in constant contact with the living growth of nature, his mind was free from the desire to extend his dominion by erecting boundary walls around his acquisitions. His aim was not to acquire, but to realize, to enlarge his consciousness by growing with and growing into his surroundings. He felt that truth is all-comprehensive, that there is no such thing as absolute isolation in existence, and the only way of attaining truth is through the interpenetration of our being into all objects. To realize this harmony between man's spirit and his spiritual world was the endeavor of the greatest sages of ancient India. In later days there came a time when these primeval forests gave way to cultivated fields, and wealthy cities sprang up on all sides. Mighty kingdoms were established, which had communication with all the great powers of the world.
Your brain lights up like a TV when you're playing video games. So check this out. Researchers from the University of California found that certain areas of the brain linked to learning and memory.
But even in the heyday of its material prosperity, the heart of India never looked back with admiration upon the early ideal of strenuous self-realization and the dignity of the simple life of the terminator, and drew its best inspiration from the restored world. The West seems to take pride in thinking that it is subduing nature, as if we are living in a hostile world where we have to wrest everything we want from an unearthly and alien arrangement of things. This sentiment is the product of the city wall habit and training of mind. For in the city life, man naturally directs the concentrated life of his mental vision upon his own life and works, and this creates an artificial association between himself and the universal nature within whose he lies. But in India, the point of view was different, including the man as one great truth. India put all her emphasis on the harmony that exists between the individual and the universal. She felt we could have no communication whatever with our surroundings if they were absolutely foreign to us. Man's complaint against nature is that he has to acquire most of his necessaries by his own efforts. Yes, but his efforts are not in vain. He is reaping success every day, and that shows there is a rational connection between him and nature. For we never can make anything of our own except that which is truly related to us. We can look upon a road from two different points of view. One regards it as dividing us from the object of our desire. In that case, we count every step of our journey over it as something attained by force in the face of obstruction. The other sees it as the road which leads us to our destination, and as such, it is part of our goal. It is already the beginning of our attainment, and by journeying over it, we can only gain that which in itself it offers to us. This last point of view is that of India with regard to nature. For her, the great fact is that we are in harmony with nature, that man can think because his thoughts are in harmony with things, that he can use the forces of nature for his own purpose only because his power is in harmony with the power which is universal, and that in the long run his purpose never can knock against the purpose which works through nature. In the West, the prevalent feeling is that nature belongs exclusively to inanimate things and to beasts, that there is a sudden unaccountable break where human nature begins. According to it, everything that is low in the scale of beings is merely nature, and whatever has the stamp of perfection of it, intellectual or moral, is human nature. It is like dividing the bud and the blossom into two separate categories, and putting their grace to the credit of two different and antithetical principles. But the Indian When